You're listening to the Coffee Before You Talk to Me podcast, hosted by Bean Mug and Coffee Co.
Welcome to the Coffee Before You Talk to Me podcast, hosted by Bean Mug and Coffee Co. I'm Jose, along with Tom. Tom, my friend, who do we have on the show with us today?
Hey, Jose. It's good to be here again, episode number 2. And in with us today, we have Beth from BethKaya Designs. We're happy to have you here, Beth. Thanks for coming in and joining us.
Thank you guys so much. This is really exciting for me.
Absolutely our pleasure.
Yeah. So we've known each other for quite a while.
I'm going to say a decade now.
Yeah, when you say it that way,
Yeah.
that's quite a while.
It hurts.
I mean,
It hurts.
a decade like kind of ages you, Jose.
Oh, yeah.
You'll catch
Like,
me at one point saying
yeah.
stuff like that.
So, I mean, no, it's been crazy, though, because we've been involved in different aspects of different businesses that we've been a part of and kind of always try to connect and stuff like that. So glad you're
I
here.
remember the day I met you. I was vending a show for BethKaya. It was like a punk rock flea market or something.
Mhm.
And you were with the clothing company and somebody mutual introduced us. And I was like, these guys got the look. They're fresh.
So,
And that was the first kind of business interaction. Like I knew to take him seriously on that
well, I appreciate that.
first
He's
impression.
a serious fella.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Of course, I don't play any games.
Nothing at all.
So obviously you have a really unique and interesting journey, and I can't wait to talk about it. So just before we even start with that, I guess my question is like, what gets you up in the morning, right?
Aside from my day job, the beach. That gets me up in the morning.
I would say that's pretty appropriate considering that we're all living in pretty close proximity to the beach.
I got to do it at some facet almost every single day, whether it's for my lunch break or for a post-work stroll. I got to do it.
Now, in the
Okay.
winter, you're going to the beach in the winter or driving by the inlet, or how does,
No, we're
what gets you up in the
dreaming.
morning in the winter?
I'll tell
In
you.
the winter, my
I
day
gotta-
job.
I gotta tell you guys a funny beach story. Right? So we actually talked about the beach in the last podcast too, and I told Jose and Josh who was with us. Jose knows I'm not really a big beach guy. Right? Takes me 5 minutes to get there. Never really go. Rather go to the pool in the backyard. Last time I went to the beach, I had to go down to Seaside to pick something up, and it was like mid-September last year, so everybody was gone. I was like, "This is great. I'm gonna take like 10 minutes and I'll walk up and I'm gonna sit there and I'll watch the water and just relax." It was beautiful. It was great. Got in my car. I started driving home. Bam! Car runs right into me. So maybe that's my
Sign.
my sign that the beach isn't really for me.
All right. So yeah, so
Okay.
the beach gets you up.
I know where to park. I
Right.
know like
Ah,
everything.
yeah.
Gotta know.
You
part
gotta,
of
you
my
gotta wake up at the
routine.
crack of dawn to get like a parking spot.
Not for me.
No, I'm not at Manalocan Beach. Ooh, secret. I don't want to share that.
We'll
one.
edit that part out. Don't worry.
Okay.
So I guess like, can you tell us a little bit of like how, BethKaya Design got started and like what inspired you to create your own brand?
So this is really interesting because I've been thinking about this a lot because I knew I would be asked this or some format and some kind. And the truth is, I grew up in like a very limited means household. So all my sisters got a little bit of hustle in them. And that all, I think, sparked a lot within each of us very early. And music was also a huge part of the household. My parents were musicians. My dad is like a sound engineer. He sells pro audio equipment. So this music element was a big part of my life. And we went to a lot of concerts. And in all honesty, I started selling jewelry to get to the next concert when I was like a teenager. So it was mostly Fish, but it was also like bands that most people never even heard of, like Medeski Martin.
I was gonna ask if we were talking about Fish jewelry
Yeah.
or the Fish band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's this huge commerce. I don't know if it's still really a big thing now because it's definitely changed the landscape of like tour life. But at one point before cell phones, there was this secret lane in a parking lot for the Fish show. And it birthed in the Grateful Dead scene, but it carried on in the Fish scene, and that's called Shakedown. And in Shakedown, it's like open air commerce. So you're getting whatever you need to get for the show, for a good time to make your means to the next show. So I would go out there with a ring, and I have a picture to show you guys, of necklaces that I had made, and I would go down Shakedown and hold it up. And I had some slug, like thinking about it now, it's so cringy, but I would say like best hemp in town, ain't never been turned down. And people would just come up and pick necklaces off the ring, and I'd make like $350 in a night. Like, you know, there was tickets to the next show, there was gas, there was everything. And from that, I realized, okay, so my own two hands, and that was the first business company that I had, can make this stuff happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the beginning.
So were you like, and not to get us off track from business at all, but I have some friends that are very into Fish and the Grateful Dead, and I am not, but I always find it fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
So were you traveling like from show to show all over? Or were you
I've
just
probably
kinda-
seen over 100
So
shows.
wherever you could get to go to a show, you were in.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
What's the farthest Fish concert you've been to?
I'm gonna say, I don't know, probably like South Carolina, Maine, Massachusetts, mostly up and no, California.
Oh yeah,
I went to California.
farthest.
I went to a festival at the Coachella Valley, maybe 10 years ago. It was awesome.
That's cool.
But I did go to Europe for a concert that was canceled. I do have a little bit of bad luck with that. And yeah. I did a fish
Happens.
festival. I vended a fish festival.
Right.
A giant 60,000 person fish festival. And it was canceled 2 days in. Like before, like 12,000 people were on site. Everybody was set up. And then the permit was revoked.
I wonder if the same guys at Fire Festival ran it.
Oh my goodness. It was terrible.
Okay.
So yeah, it birthed in the fish community. And I have to give a huge shout out to them because through this entire journey, the ups and downs of things, those original heads have supported my business this whole entire time.
I was gonna say, I feel like it's probably a community of like super loyal people. Right?
Hell
once
yeah,
once
it
they kind of
is.
get into your groove and what you're selling and making,
Yeah.
they're gonna find you wherever you're at.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
And like since the birth of the internet, I've been BethKaya. That's how the fish people knew me. That's how, like you would meet up with people. I was, raised in Maryland, but we would come up here to see shows. And we would meet up with people from message boards and things like that.
Message boards.
Message
Boy.
boards. Yeah. And then now still friends and still business supporters. Now we're all grown up. We all have kids and businesses and, real lives. But that whole essence of like indie trade, business, community, that is the roots of where everything kind of came about.
So real quick, so we were speaking before the podcast, and we're talking about like different things that you're making and your jewelry, and I mean I know the list goes on, but you were like, listen, I want to be clear, like I'm a multimedia artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to just jump in like and expand on that, like what like BethKaya started off with like necklaces, I'm sure,
Right.
and jewelry,
Mm-hmm.
but then like what did it evolve into past that?
I realized that selling jewelry was not sustainable. And this is also a message that I want to send to people who are thinking of starting a business based on a hobby. Your purpose has to serve a function. So if you're making necklaces, that's great, but there's a margin of people who don't need that. So my thinking shifted from jewelry to what can I solve? And then I kind of became an inventor. So the soap was something that I started making, as a at-home mom, save money, learning to grow things, the properties of herbs and different things, like really getting into my groove as a mom. And then I was solving problems. So the soap obviously solves a problem. It's a multi-purpose thing. We take it camping. So Again, let's talk about the fish people. You know, that sort of became a rash when I started handing soap out. You know, obviously you're at a festival or you're at a show, you're going to get dirty. So with my little sticker on the back that's going to all these people, it's solving a problem.
Yeah.
So when I design now, I'm not going to do anything or put anything up for sale that's just, you know, because or trinket or whatever. It serves some intention, some purpose, some value.
Wow.
So whether it's, you know, right now I'm working on keychains, key keepers. You guys will get one. Key keepers. But like it solves the function. There's a main ring. There's 6 other rings. They're all uniform. There's a flashlight on there. There's a little waterproof dry container. In mine, I keep earplugs because I need earplugs all the time. But like in the essence of BethKaya, I'm solving a problem. There, you know, it's a key keeper. It's an invention. And that's kind of the root of everything that I'm coming up with. A little problem-solving invention that I can sell.
That's cool.
Because if I can't sell it, I ain't making it.
Yeah, 100%. And like what's cool with the soap too, like not necessarily the key keeper, but the soap, like as opposed to when you're making jewelry, there's only so much jewelry you're going to buy or you're going to wear. You're always going to need a new bar of soap. I mean, it was kind of like when we started Bean Mugging compared to the first kind of iteration of our coffee business, which was the caffeination station. It was cool for people to get a coffee bar and go out to different events, but only if you were having an event did you need the coffee bar.
Right.
You didn't need one once a year.
You didn't need one once a year. You didn't need one every morning or while you're shooting a podcast.
Yeah.
Right. But now
Coffee's good biz.
you can get coffee from everybody gets coffee. So it's a little bit different. It's, like I said, like you said, it solves a purpose and it's kind of renewable
It's
from
consumable.
From
Soap is consumable.
Yep.
And the thing about coffee and the thing about soap that's the same is that once you get used to the brew, once you get used to a scent, you want that brew. You need the consistency. You need that smell. You need the consistency.
Yep.
So that's like part of the design process also is how can I make you feel a way? How can I evoke this sense of nostalgia within you? And I do that with scent. And that creates such loyalty because if I can explain to you how something smells without you actually smelling it and I'm accurate, I've won your trust.
I agree.
It's fascinating because obviously like when we had met, I was doing clothing and you were doing a lot of soaps and fragrances at that point was like your primary. And we talked about like you being on Etsy and you selling all these products all over the internet. And a big part of it was you were selling soap, which if I'm going to buy soap, like I need to go to the store and like pop the cap open and smell it and say like, okay, I want to smell like leather, wood, farm or something, you know, like, and online you were just selling scents over the internet.
But
which
the
was
smell is accurate.
Which is crazy to me. And then like, you know, fast forward now and I'm over here like, oh, taste this coffee over the internet. I'm like, no, Beth could do it. It can be done. You can do it. I've seen this before.
Jose was crazy when he told me he wants to sell coffee over the internet because prior to Bean Mugging, I was a go to Costco, pick up my coffee, and be set kind of guy. Like, I'll get a coffee at the shop here and there, but I didn't really get into it to the same level until we got into Bean Mugging. But also, I was like, who's buying coffee on the internet? And the answer is a ton of people. Just like soap or any of your scents or anything you do like that. If you can get the message across and then the product delivers when they get it, home run.
Product has to deliver. But ultimately, you know, in this day and age, they're buying you first. They're buying your brand. They like the colors. They like the look, the aesthetic, the vibe that you guys give off. And, you know, I have this one bar called Outdoor Shower. And in this one name, you are having an experience by the name. Who doesn't love an outdoor shower? You might not because you're not a beach guy. But
I love an outdoor shower.
Erica tried to pitch an outdoor beach shower yesterday. She's like, I think we should build an outdoor beach shower. I'm like, oh.
I want an outdoor shower. I've talked to my wife. We're talking about putting an outdoor shower.
What's going on with these outdoor showers? They're so popular.
It's my favorite.
And like you're right, but you're right on the pulse though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Last summer, I took one of my bars into the outdoor shower, put it up there, and I left it there all week. It was the coconut teak. You both got that in your back. And every day I came off the beach about like 4:20, took my shower. The ice cream man coming by every single day at that same exact time. And this scent just kind of washed over me. It's the smell of coconut, like a very medium-bodied coconut, not too bright, sweet. It's just like coconut shavings. And then it hits you with this like teak wood, cedar, like the smell of the beach house steps or the shower inside the beach house together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm having this moment every single day. And I got back and I was like, okay, the soap is born. Like, I have to have a soap that pays homage to the outdoor shower, because a lot of my products are in homage to the beach, much like your labels and names as well. Like, we have Surfside, Dockside, Bay Musk, different things that are nodding to the ocean. But now outdoor shower is like,
it's a thing.
It's a thing.
That's crazy. So that's a really good example of like the process for like how to really go out and create a scent, right? Like I thought that was pretty like unique in a sense. Like I've never like what like the real like the thought process that goes in it, like step by step by step.
That's a whole. So I was doing some research on what it takes to be a master fragrance person. There's really like 10 in the whole world, maybe even less. It takes longer to become a master perfumer than it does to be a doctor. You have to travel the world and sit with these specific people and do apprenticeships. It's crazy. I'm out here with like wires crossed designing. That's how it happens for me, because I have like synesthesia. But I know like how to pair a top note and a middle note and a bottom note. And it's much like blending coffee. You have to put this flavor profile or scent profile together that's married and makes sense, or else it's wonky and disjointed and nobody's
100%.
gonna relate to that.
Pretty cool.
I saw I think it was like on Ellen, so I'm probably dating myself here. It's not even on the air anymore, but
Really?
yeah, Ellen.
Ellen's gone?
Yeah, she
I have
retired.
no idea.
So she basically she brought on this guest, and I could have swore it was Ellen, but anyway, she worked for like Nissan, and all she did was the scent. So she would go in your car, a brand new car. She'd like open the door, and she'd be like, "The steering wheel is off. You have to replace that leather." She'd smell different things in the car because they wanted the scent of that car to be what it was, and her job. Find it on YouTube. You guys,
Love
are
it.
you guys are
Love
gonna
it.
go nuts.
That's
But
pretty wild.
it was wild.
That's crazy. I'm always impressed too by like I mean, listen, I know if something smells good, I know it smells good. If something tastes good, I know it tastes good. But like, I know like when we were making the coffee, like I was like, all right, I like this one. I don't like this one. Maybe this is why. But I'm not great at going, I'm picking up the smell of this, the note of that. I'm not good at that. But like people, it's like the lady that can smell. It's like people that can cook by smelling the seasonings and stuff, and just knowing like
All day.
all right, these go together. This a little more of this, a little less of that. Just
Yeah.
all by smelling it is pretty wild. I think.
Yeah.
I didn't have taco seasoning the other day, and I was like, I have everything that it takes to make taco seasoning. So I made tacos. Didn't even taste it. Nothing. And they, meaning my boyfriend and my son, didn't know the difference. Didn't even say like,
I was smart by not telling them. I would have been like, "No, it's not."
Yeah.
like
Yeah, but if she told them, then they would be like, "No, it's different. We don't like this one."
exactly.
my son
Like
is the
Ortega.
hardest critic. If I use a different cheese on his grilled cheese or something, he's coming out of his
Oh,
room.
man.
now he's a teenager. He's in his room on his computer where all meals are served. And he's like, Mom, cheese is off. Just
Oh,
it's off a
man.
hair. I'm like, can't you just get through it? No. I took 3 bites. He's like, I took the 3 bites.
Oh man,
It's done.
That's pretty impressive. Then even more so now with the taco seasoning.
So,
Right.
so you out of control. So, where all meals are served. So now, you have you go online, and you're one of like the early people in like Etsy, right? Like Etsy's
yeah.
still like a grassroots.
I went to the first Etsy flea market in Brooklyn inside of McCarran Park Pool. It's like an old pool that they emptied out and started having events in. I couldn't even tell you if it's there anymore. It might be a pool again
So like I didn't even know that Etsy started as a flea
in
market.
Brooklyn.
I had no idea. Did you know that?
I know. I thought it was just an online virtual
Yeah,
flea market.
that's
Like,
what
I
I
thought that was-
2006.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, considering starting as a flea market and where they've ended up,
yeah.
it's pretty amazing.
Global marketplace, publicly
So
traded.
what year did you go on the Etsy website?
2006.
2006. Like as soon as it started,
Yeah.
you were there, ground floor.
And
That's
I
cool.
started selling jewelry, and I rarely got orders. I was like, this isn't going to be it. So I went to school. I worked full time in the city when I went to school. And you reminded me to tell you this. When I worked for Sony, I did time at Sony corporate on Madison Avenue. We had a flagship store underneath the building, and I worked for the VIP department. So whenever we'd have like Sony talent come in, Paul Simon, for example, he can't just go into the store. He's got to have a concierge come down and walk him through. So that was my job. I'd walk these people through the flagship store and all the computers and different cameras and stuff we had now. They used to pump smell into the store.
Oh, I believe it.
Chocolate smell in the holiday season, and during the summer season, citrus smell. Specifically, they were scents that were statistically proven to make you shop more.
That's it. Farmers market.
Right
Farmers
through the
market on
vent.
Sunday.
Chocolate all day.
Pumping chocolate right through the.
Yeah, it'll be good. Chocolate, peanut butter cup coffee coming Sunday.
Somebody in Japan thought of that.
Well,
like,
I mean, there's science behind all that kind of stuff. Like the same thing with like lighting and different colors and stuff, and what they'll do to your mood and the atmosphere at events and things like that.
They put a Starbucks right in the middle of the store.
Yeah, genius.
Because they know that caffeinating people and playing the Sony music while you're inside of the store is going to make you shop.
Sounds good.
So you get on Etsy in 2006. And just so people understand, like, how many sales have you done on Etsy?
Right now, I've probably done like close to 10,000.
Right.
And that's on Etsy. Like, there's obviously you can do commerce off Etsy. So most of my live events and different things like that is not Etsy. But that's home.
Yeah. But like, so your online presence, you've probably had close to like almost 10,000 transactions on Etsy. Which is
I also have a very high review rate of like perfect score, I guess Etsy would call it, because again, it's about trust and loyalty. When you give people more than they expect, they will come back and they will rant and rave about you. So when you open one of my packages, it's kind of an experience. Anybody can tell you that. You read the reviews and it'll tell you that. It's like, the smell hits you. It's a wave. And then there's little inclusions and samples. The samples get you to. It's all very strategic. But also like in good intentions. I know that if I order from somebody and I get more than I pay for, I'm coming back.
like a value.
Oh yeah.
Like what's the value, right? So you have the website since 2006.
Yeah.
And then we go from there to like having a store, right?
Yes. So going back, BethKaya has always been on the internet as BethKaya. So you're not going to find anybody else but me, period, since the internet, which I'm very proud of. And that kind of clout and support lended me to grow the brand big enough to be able to afford a store. So I just from home, banked from the sales. And I drove by this little yellow building on the way to my son's grandparents' house all the time. It was like a crumb cake spot at one point. And I always thought, when is this place open? It's never open. What is it? It changed hands a couple times. And then one day I'm driving by and the big for rent sign was out there. And I was like, okay, this is the sign, because, I had the money in the bank. My kid was old enough to go to school and come home and be at the store with me. So I contacted the landlord. We did it. The place was in absolute disrepair. It was like stepping in shit and tracking it around your whole house. I did not realize the project it was going to be.
And they just rented it to you like that and said, "Here's the keys.
Yes.
Have fun."
The pilot light, it was a
terrible.
deli. The pilot light was still on for the oven. And there was grease in the fryer.
Nice.
So I had to decommission the fryer, drain it. When I had people pull the oven out, there was eggs. People were literally cracking eggs and throwing it behind the oven
Oh, that's gross.
for years.
Just eggshells piled up behind the oven.
It was like beyond anything like that Dirty Jobs has ever showed you. I just aged myself right there with Dirty Jobs. But again, it was like this experience. People in the community had supported the business so much and wanted to see it. So people came and helped paint. They pulled out, there was a coffee station. Originally, I wanted it to be a boutique,
Right.
a coffee tea place with items to like buy. But I fought with the town and it just was going to be, it had already been 9 months to open and I had sustained it up until that point.
Yeah, but at some point you got to get a door open.
I was like, okay, we're going from the self-care cafe to the self-care cove.
Okay.
And that's kind of the pivot we made. And I did feel like we lost a sense of what we meant to be without having the coffee and tea.
How late into the process did you realize that you couldn't make it a cafe like that?
9 months. We were 9 months into like renting the store, still hadn't gotten an open CO from the town.
So for the 9 months that you're building it and like planning everything out and what you want to do, you're still thinking it's gonna be a cafe.
Oh, yeah, it was on the door, self-care cafe. And, at one point I had a kind of a partner who was interested in like going, the extra mile with this whole situation. And it became very overwhelming. I think that a lot of people think they could run a business. But when they get in the thick of it, realize like this takes so much. It takes so much grit. And I don't think that most people understand or grip that, like,
oh, it's incredibly
if you do what
difficult.
you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That is the biggest bullshit I've ever heard. If you do what you love, you work every day of your life.
Every day, 365.
Right.
It never stops. Yeah.
I saw that on TikTok actually, like an audio like that.
You
Yeah,
got
I
that's
it.
true.
saved it where he basically was like, when it was something like where he said like, and if you love it, like you'll work even harder, like something like that. Like
I mean,
it has to be that way.
I think that's probably like the saving grace to the situation is like it's like your baby and you love it. So you're willing to do that.
Right.
But yeah, everybody thinks it's like, hey, I'm going to start this business. I'm going to work really hard for a couple of months and then it's going to be on cruise control. And that's,
LuLaRoe.
yeah.
Like they gave these women and men this dream of being a business. But at the end of the day, like it's not this pop-up thing that you can do. And that's what was sold, it's like, this is a pop-up business. It's so easy. You can do it. No, anybody can start a business doing anything. But if you're not willing to put the gas to the floor until it's shot into the stratosphere, don't do it. Go back to your hobby, go back to whatever, because it's not for you.
Yeah,
It's not going to be for you.
I mean, I think, and Jose and I have talked about this a lot, and you said the word early on, and Jose knows what I'm talking about, right? So you said hustle early, right? And we put grind on the sign, right? Because Jose hates the word hustle because he always feels like it's a word that's associated with
Negatively?
not necessarily negatively, but with a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jose and I both share the mentality of if you treat it like a side hustle, it's always going to be a side hustle, which is okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to put the gas pedal through the floor and go, the objective is it not really to be that, right? And
I
I
have
think
a different
sometimes,
perspective.
yeah, the connotation gets put on it a little differently.
The hustle to me means move your ass.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and it also means your back is against the wall. And for a lot of people, it's not. But for me, it is. It always is. It always has been. So that's what makes me put the gas to the floor.
Yeah.
Is I got to hustle. I got to move. Sometimes like it's tough to even slow down because this ball is rolling around.
I find it hard to
inside.
turn it off.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard to turn it off. Like,
because it's a big, heavy train rolling down the tracks, and you shoveled a lot of freaking coal to get that train moving. And once that train's moving, it's freaking going. And to stop it, you got to do a lot to stop it.
Oh yeah, 100%. And like, it's near impossible to stop it sometimes if you want it to get to the destination. I guess, right? I think some people are just okay with the journey. Maybe I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but like you're okay like going through the process and you like it and it's fun and it's something you do. But I think a big difference of what you said is like your back's not always against the wall. And sometimes if it's not the only thing that you rely on or the thing that's going to put, food on your plate or make difference in your life, people don't necessarily feel that way.
The person who rented the store after me had the same concept. She was actually a customer of mine. And she brought in artists and whatever. And that was just something that she was doing as a side, like she didn't need the business, it was fun, whatever. And it failed. It absolutely, fell through the ground in like less than 2 years, I think, because you didn't care enough about it. And you thought that you were going to model these steps.
Yeah.
And it was going to be successful.
Well, going back to like even like the train reference, right? Like I never really thought of it that way, but like, some people, I think it's incredibly difficult to even get the train started.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's
an
an accomplishment in itself.
You got to build the train.
There's no tracks. You don't know where it's going. There's like, you look in like in those old cartoon movies, there's like 16 different tunnels in the mountains and you don't know which one you're going through. Like it's that crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, part of it is like, okay, great. You got the train started. Like, congratulations. That's great. Like that's the first step. Like everybody here, everyone who's listening, like do it. Like just take the first step. But like, you can't stop and like celebrate that the train's moving. Mm-hmm. Like that's now you're just getting started.
Now you got to keep it moving.
It's like, that's where you start getting into like, how fast that train going to go, how far is it going to go? Do you have to alter that track and pivot a different way?
The articulation is what makes being a business owner the reward. Because I get to choose which direction I'm going. I get to choose how much gas I'm throwing on it, and I get to step on it and let off it as much as I need to and want to. Now, in the beginning, I had to soak up everything, every little job, every commission. Anytime anybody said, draw this, do this, whatever, I did it. But now I'm on greatest hits mode.
Got it.
Absolutely greatest hits. And it's
on your terms.
It's in tried and true. I know these products over the last 10 years have done great. I'm not going to jump through hoops for people anymore. I'm not your 1, 2, 3 little designer. I do what I want to do and what makes sense.
So you mentioned that the second owner of that business, obviously it didn't pan out for them either. But like, so when did you decide like, hey, you had this brick and mortar, you had the store, and then you don't have the store obviously anymore because there's a second owner that didn't have it either. But
that was my dream. Having the store was like my dream. Everybody grows up, they have their dream. That was my dream, and I did it. And then the pandemic hit, and Murphy ordered us to close, and I made that work. For 3 months, I made it work, and it was actually kind of nice. I closed the doors. I accepted orders. I virtually shopped inside of the store for people, and they picked things out. I put it on the stoop, and they come pick it up. And that was actually really great because it allowed me to just design full time as opposed to tend to the bar, which is what I was doing a lot of at the store. People were coming because it's a safe space and a serene space, but there is this long bar between me and the customer. And that served as the dump where people just came in, and I loved it. I heard so many stories. I got so many blessings from people just coming in off the street and observing the store and being like, you're doing this for the community. This is what we need. Mm-hmm. I had to shut it down because of both COVID and I was going through a divorce, and I needed to just get a job. I needed to get a day job. I needed benefits, reality, So it's bittersweet. I think that the community was more upset about the loss because that put a hole where a lot of people felt safe and felt like on a bad day they could just roam around the store and feel better. And that hurts my heart. But, you know, I do love my day job. Now I'm like, you know, a marketing specialist for a mortgage company. I have a consulting business where I help small businesses kind of from soup to nuts pop up and build the train.
Yeah.
Because that's the hardest part is how do you build the train? How to make it go is on you. I'll give you some tips, but you got to shovel that shit.
Yeah.
I can help you build the train. So that has been where I've been trying to focus a lot of attention and time, because my day job is a lot of coaching loan officers on how to pop up individual businesses for themselves, how to use social media, how to market themselves different from the next loan officer. Because why should anybody care? You know, because they're buying you. They buy your trust. They buy your individual brand, and that's it. So I like to help people come to that conclusion, because we float around a lot trying to figure out like where should I be? What should I do? What's my brand look like? And it really is a series of questions.
So has the dream changed at this point for you? Like, is it,
Yes.
or is having a store like still something that
No,
would be
everybody
one day?
asks me that. Would you do it again? Would you do it again? And the answer is no.
You wouldn't do it again.
Not alone.
Okay.
So I was approached recently, and basically this person who used to work at the store, she's incredible. She's a grief and trauma counselor. She's got her master's. She's going for her doctorate. She's an incredible person. She said, I wrote this business plan. And
That's
when I
crazy.
sat back and looked at it, it was the Self-Care Cove. And I thought, well, if there's anybody to help me execute this, it's you. And I said, cool, you're going to need some help.
Yeah.
Because I'll definitely be a partner. I'll definitely be a voice. I'll fill your store with merchandise. I have so much stuff I've created. It's insane. I'll fill the store, but I can't run it. I like my day job. I want to be the person that fosters this within the community and gives it back to the community.
Yeah.
So I think that might be in the works.
It's cool though. I mean, and I think you're right. Doing something alone, like solely alone, is really, really tough.
I had to pay people to like go to a baby shower.
Yeah.
I had to like pay people to watch my
It's like
store.
getting a babysitter for your kid almost, right? Like,
Except this is like my real baby.
Right.
Like, sorry, baby, this is my baby.
Yeah, but it's the baby
You
that,
know?
there's money in the cash register, and that money puts food on the table at the end
Yes.
of the day. So it has to keep going. I mean, I can't imagine doing what we do alone. I mean, there's 3 of us, and we can't get it all done sometimes.
I was answering
list doesn't end.
questions through the security camera at a baby shower while my staff had customers in the store. So they're looking up at the camera, asking me questions.
Yeah.
I'm on my phone on the security camera app,
That's
a Zinc
hysterical.
or whatever it's
See,
called.
to me, that's grinding though. That's not hustling.
Yeah.
That's grinding.
it's grinding.
And I think that's more like that's the difference.
Well, I'll tell you this. I usually wear my Apple Watch and I screen all day what's coming through because I've got 5 inboxes. We all have like 5 inboxes, right?
Sure.
And my Instagram is, we can't even, it's
Oh,
like with,
We'll get there.
Yeah, we got to talk about
Okay.
Instagram.
okay. But I screen on my watch. So if it smells like money, I'm answering. And that to me is hustling because I care. I mean, I care what you have to say, but I'm going to budget time in my day to get back to the personal messages. The ones that are going to make me money, I'm going to answer right now.
Well, it's like just simple prioritizing, really.
Mhm.
You know, like you're going to get back to your friend or your mom or your aunt or your uncle at 10 o'clock at night. That's when they're getting
Yeah.
the message. But from 9 to 5, especially if you're dealing, I mean, I don't know if you do, but we get a lot of like business to business contacts still, whether it's a wholesale coffee account or people that inquire to have the coffee bar at corporate events and things like that. There's so much of that. And if we're not on it 9 to 5, it's the next day and it just delays everything and they're on to the next.
Yeah,
They
who
don't even
wants to
answer.
wait?
And
Nobody
I fall
today wants to
victim-
wait.
I yell at Jose too, because sometimes you're a waiter a little bit. Like you'll be like, oh, we'll reply to that tomorrow. I'm like, the hell we will.
Yeah.
Like I'll
No
reply
way.
now. Like, because it's got to get to them by a time. Otherwise they're on to the next.
Mm-hmm. Especially in this day and age. And with Etsy, I have to set expectations with customers on when I'm going to ship. And in this day and age, you need to ship in 24 hours.
Yeah.
I'm shipping 3 to 5 business days minimum,
I mean,
because I got to make this shit.
You have to make it. I mean, I think similar for us too with the coffee, because, you know, we try to keep everything in a pretty strict roasting schedule. But sometimes somebody might place an order for something on, you know, the day after it was roasted, and those orders are already shipped and set to go out, and they're into the next schedule. So sometimes it takes 5 days to get them their order. And it's tough.
It's still fresh.
It's super fresh. I mean, especially when you're talking about comparing it to something on a store shelf. But people are used to Amazon.
Right.
And, you know, I don't know if the other problem, because we ran into this problem, I feel like more so when we started than now. But the cost to ship a product is so expensive, especially a small product. Like if somebody buys 1 bag of coffee from us and it costs $14, it can cost $7 for us to send it to them in the same town it came from.
Now think about that with a bar of soap.
Yeah.
What would make me move on that?
Yeah.
And so this is something that I definitely think about, is the value proposition of the shipping. Because again, Amazon has set the expectation. And it's interesting because I was thinking about my design process as well. And Amazon is a part of my design process now, because I have Amazon Business. I source materials for what I'm doing. So now they're woven into my actual design sourcing process. But, you know, ultimately being able to articulate your own expectations with your customer is like really, really important.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I think we should talk about Instagram.
Well, hold on real quick. I think it's important though, because and we talked about this last time on the last episode as well, but there's so many different ways like to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And like I think your example is like a great example, because you had a corporate job and then you're building this you know, side business, right?
You got to be able to pivot.
And you left, you went all in on your website. And then from there you went doubled down, you got a store. Then the store closes, you still have the website, but you're like, listen, I go back and get a job. And that's okay. And like I have a job. Tom, you know, he doesn't. But there's just so many different ways.
For the record, I work.
No. But I mean like a 9 to 5.
Business.
But
I'm
I mean
not like a kept man or something.
No, but like a 9 to 5. We're talking about a 9 to 5 though.
I know. I'm teasing.
And it's just so crazy that there's just so many like ways to do it, and there's no right way, no wrong way.
Yeah.
And there's
so
successful way to do it.
There's so much stigma though of like working and doing it. I feel like that's
I
there's so
think
much
that's
stigma.
like part of the whole side hustle thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's why Jose in particular, like I never really thought about the whole hustle conversation like the way you did until we talked about it. But I think that's part of it, is like Jose works a 9 to 5 job and has a business on the side.
Yeah.
You treat it as if you didn't, but that's what it is.
I have a day job, but I go full throttle with all of my businesses. And I have several businesses.
Yeah.
And they're all very active. And I feel like 100% of the time I'm dialed into each one of them. I don't think that my day job suffers because I have my other careers. As a matter of fact, my day job is so supportive about my other things, because they've realized that the creativity that I bring to the table
comes from all that. Yeah.
Yes.
But that's
no, I think that, but that's important though.
Yeah. Like Jose, you have a lot of that with your day job
no,
too.
my
like,
boss is super.
His boss is
from
supporter.
the beginning. He's what are you into? What do you do? And he's always been supportive of other things, and I think that helps.
I think it helps a lot. If you didn't,
my bosses are also fish heads.
Well, that doesn't hurt you
Well,
either.
that helps too.
But imagine if
super successful people.
So when you went on the interview, they're like, "Oh my God, you're BethKaya." Like,
yes,
we met you at the shakedown.
Actually, yes. The guy that I started as a processor. The guy that I used to process for, we met at Atlantic City Fish. And I was like, I process for you. And he's like, oh my God, yeah. Well, now I'm a marketing specialist for that.
Yeah.
Whole team.
So I think that helps though. I think that's important. Like if you do have a job and
it's who you know,
and you start a business, like
loyalty, trust, common interests.
Yeah.
All these. When I got my Wall Street job, I was in a thrift store suit from Maryland, bright-eyed, bushy, fresh off the bus. And this woman, I argued at the time of whether or not I should keep the interest section on my resume. And at the bottom, I put like the fountainhead or something stupid like to that book. And the hiring manager looked at me and she goes, "You like the Fountainhead?" And I said, "Yeah, I just read it." She goes, "Okay, cool." And I thought to myself, is she gonna hire me now? Because like we had this random interest that like I don't even know why I put it on my resume, but it was my foot in the door.
Yeah. I mean, it's like what you were able to connect with her about, right? Like
You
it might
know?
not have been work. It might have been something personal.
19 years old. She had no idea. You can't,
Yeah.
in a pinstripe suit
Love it.
from a thrift store.
So Instagram.
Okay.
It's you've been on Instagram a long time.
Since the beginning. In the beginning, I was like sharing canning stuff for like a good 3 weeks.
Canning food?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I realized like there are people who are liking my stuff out of nowhere. Where are they coming from? Like how are they even finding me? And then I realized like the power of the hashtag and the power of aligning with other people who are on the same path as me. So in a period of maybe 3 years, I grew from 0 followers to 10,000. And then from 10,000, it became more apparent to me because algorithms changed and stuff that
Every
I needed
day.
to be more strategic. So then I was doing like collabs and giveaways and follow for whatever when that stuff worked. And then I was doing an auction every Saturday. Now the auction is what really was pulling people in because it was still chronological, the algorithm. So every Saturday, people were drinking their coffee at 9 a.m. They would go to my feed.
That's it.
And they'd see my auction. And it would be like crystals. It would be like a whole Bath and Body,
We're talking about
whatever.
like live video auction. Is that how you did it? That's
Mhm.
cool.
And people would bid. And, I would say the auction would end, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Sunday. And I'll announce the winner. And you could see you had to tag the person ahead of you when you placed your bid.
Well, I was gonna say like you're saying an auction, but like it's not a video. It's a graphic that you're saying this is for sale.
It was mostly a picture. Sometimes there were videos. Sometimes we did lives. Stories wasn't a thing at that point. But Facebook Live was because they were trying to copy Periscope. Do you remember
Gotcha.
Periscope?
I do remember Periscope.
And then their
funny.
Vine was another one that came through. That anytime these little guys came out, Meta found a way before it was Meta to soak up that technology, to utilize it and squish the little guy.
Funny. I think they just did it again.
Yeah.
With TikTok?
No,
No,
Threads.
Oh,
And
I've
they're
never
not-
heard of that.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man,
Really?
Threads?
Threads? You know about Threads?
No.
You want to
Oh
know?
boy.
I just learned a funny thing about Threads. I don't know if you know this.
Okay, probably not.
Do you know the website for Threads?
Threads.com?
No, Threads.net.
Threads.net. Because you can't get Threads.com.
Is it
Because
crazy?
the thread company probably owns it.
Is it crazy
Like
that
an embroidery company.
he launched it and it's Threads.net?
You would think you would just buy Threads.com, but
I mean,
you know. So Threads is like an Instagram shoot off. You sign up with you sign up with your Instagram account.
yeah.
So as soon as you sign up, it connects you to all your current Instagram followers. So you build a base of people almost instantaneously. But
That's
it's
wild.
set up to work like Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hence them stealing.
Yeah.
Okay. This is interesting though, because as these companies come around, they have to learn how to steal like artists. You know? Like you're designing the platform of our lives. So how are you going to optimize it? How are you going to enhance it? I'm under a rock apparently because I'm still,
I'll be honest. The only reason I knew about it when I did is because Josh, who was our first podcast guest in the first episode, he was like all over it. Now, mind you, Josh is only in his late 20s. So like, he's like primo, like he still likes social media.
He doesn't have any kids.
I teach people how to use social media. So the fact that I've never heard of it makes me a little like,
No.
it's not like a thing yet though. It hasn't like become like it was like super popular and all the rage to talk about it for like the first week it came out.
Because it broke records for like how many users signed up for within the first. So that was like the big thing.
And it like kind of came out of nowhere. Like it was
Correct.
just like, boom, 48 hours from now, we're launching Threads. And here it is.
And then I think what has to pass the test of time now is its sustainability.
Yeah. I mean,
What makes it better than Instagram?
I have no idea. I
So
don't understand.
It's really not.
It's just Vogue.
It's not pictures really. It's more like text heavy, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I guess it's really.
But you can put graphics.
You can put, but
memes.
just like in Twitter,
So,
and I'm not a big Twitter user. But in Twitter, I know like when it first came out, and then when Instagram came out, I guess the similarity was it was driven by hashtags from the get go, right? And you could put a picture in Twitter, but the idea was that you'd write 140 characters or whatever.
This
can
is
write.
500 characters.
Okay, so you more, which is nice.
Now it is.
But now like that seems
No,
to
that's
be
Threads. 500 characters.
Yeah.
Oh,
So like that's the
Fine.
idea behind Threads is I guess it's more conversational,
okay.
like Twitter is.
Yeah. So like
Oh.
you'll make your post, and then like people could just come in and comment right underneath it.
So it's like a next door almost, but like with
Yeah.
your own.
and then you can like
audience.
reshare other people and things like that.
Full
Okay.
transparency, I signed up and never opened the app once again. So
Um,
I'm interested, because like I said, it is my job to stay on the pulse, and I've written presentations on how to become successful on social media. It's like, part of my dream now as it's evolved from having the store, which is come and gone and done, to how can I pop people up and do that for themselves and show them, the honest to God's truth. It's like, this is not going to be a business.
Yeah.
This is going to be a hobby for you, or this has potential.
Yeah. I think it's fine for it to be a hobby, a business, a side
Mhm.
thing, something full time, depending on what you want out of
I
it.
would love to be able to just lay on the couch and watch TV. I did it I watched Godfather 2 last night. And I just thought to myself, I felt guilty. You feel guilty because you're like, oh, I could be listing stuff on Etsy right now. I could be filling orders. I could be, labeling products. I got to take pictures. I got to, write this copy. There's so much to do that I got a budget time for self-care. But that's my mission on
Yeah.
the side here
That's gotta be
is
tough.
You got to live it.
to take
Yeah,
care
you
of
gotta live with that.
yourself.
well, I think it's like knowing when to take a break.
It's
like-
hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's important though.
It's super important. I mean, like,
And always for a mobster movie.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, like,
So real quick, I just pulled up my Thread account.
Okay.
I did post 2 weeks ago, and I said I watched Scarface on double VHS tapes in high school. Old. That's what I put on
that's
Threads.
funny.
That's how old I am. But then I,
I
also
just drew a doodle of Scarface.
But then I
like
also
2 nights ago.
reposted somebody that I follow that I like to follow, and she said, "You don't need advice; you need to finish your to-do list." I thought that was
Whoa.
impactful.
I mean,
So-
considering we always talk about our to-do list growing and never shrinking.
So that's my Threads. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where.
I think it's cool. But I think to the same degree of, not knowing it, not having used it, like you can't exist in all of them to the
No.
same degree. It's just
You
not
got to
possible at
sprinkle
this
it
point.
around. You definitely can't have all your eggs in one basket. These are like a part of the presentations that I give. It is not a use it, set it and forget it technology. It is set it and stoke it
Yep.
technology. You have to be, active. You have to engage with people. You do have to like their stuff and comment. That's something that has dropped off. Like, people don't have the time to,
Mhm.
they don't care, but they're seeing it, so you still got to have the faith that they're seeing it and keep going, even without the likes.
That's a huge part though. Like, that's important.
Before
And
I had any
we
followers,
even,
I
like-
just was putting it into space with no one there because I believed.
So I think we do this too. Like, well, you get discouraged obviously when like you put something up and it doesn't get
Oh yeah.
like what you thought it was gonna get.
Yeah.
But in reality though, like, so many people saw it, read it, they just didn't
Mhm.
acknowledge that they did.
When I had 10,000 followers, I shared at the time I was doing resin work before resin work was like a thing. I shared a piece that I did in the shape of a gun. And it got, the whole point of that was to kind of transmute that negative image into a positive image, but it was very evocative, and it got maybe like 1,000 engagements. This is when I had 10,000 followers. Now I have like 20. and I'll be lucky to get like 31 likes on something.
Yeah, well, when you had 10,000 followers, or there was probably half as many people on Instagram.
Well,
Like
that's true too.
But that's reality, you know.
Mhm.
Like you were in it, so like ground level, kind of like you were with Etsy. You
Yes.
said I was on Instagram in the beginning. I wasn't on Instagram in the beginning.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to have an Android. It was only on iPhones, I think, first.
I mean,
So I would just watch.
I-
I would have to like go to people and be like, "Hey, can I see what's on Instagram?"
yeah, which is crazy. That's a little crazy. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure it
I was
wasn't.
team iPhone though.
Yeah,
so,
I'm pretty sure it wasn't even. We'd have to like fact check that,
Yeah.
and I'm sure people can leave comments on our YouTube page.
Please do.
But I think that was true. Like it was on Instagram
It's
only,
interesting.
and I'm talking like before Facebook bought it. I'm talking its
iPhone
original.
only, like Apple,
Yeah.
Apple only.
Yeah, before Facebook bought Instagram,
Yeah.
and like before like even Instagram expanded, it was iPhone only.
I just loved how it was just the visual representation without argument, without, anything other than this is what I'm seeing
Yeah.
through my eyes, through my lens.
Well, memes really killed Instagram. Like that's when it got really not
Crazy.
killed it, but like that's when it just was like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
Before it was like pictures of like flowers and
I mean-
sunsets
Yes,
and
yes.
And again, like everybody wasn't there. Like now everybody's there. Kind of
Yeah.
like what
Right.
happened with Facebook, right? Like
yeah.
you can't go on Facebook without arguing and nonsense. And Instagram's kind of like there, or it's inundated by people using it to get you to other sites, no matter what those sites are. Like you're just bombarded with information and information and
I
information.
love
that's
when people
not what you're
follow
looking
you
for.
from site to site, though.
No, it's cool.
I love the loyalty that you get when someone's like, I saw this on your Instagram, but I'm gonna hit you up on the Facebook,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna follow you on the Snap.
because you
and
get different perspectives of the same
Yes.
person on each different platform.
That's the goal.
Well, yeah,
That's
but
the
you do.
goal.
Like,
Yeah.
think about it. Like,
So I gotta give Jan a shout out. Jan has been my customer for 10 years. She's got to be maybe 92 at this point. Jan comments on everything that I post.
did Jan know about Threads?
I don't
We're
know,
gonna
but
find
I'll
out,
post
Jan.
Wu-Tang and Jan will comment like
That's
thumbs
great.
up on the Wu-Tang. She's amazing. She's like my hype lady.
Good for her.
And I gotta use Jan because it's like everybody needs a Jan in their life that just like is
Yeah.
just your hype person. Everything that you put out there, they're in support of, and don't forget those people.
Jan's like your ride or die.
She's my
right?
ride or die. If I
Just-
wake up and I post something and Jan's not on there,
You're worried.
I'm worried. Any time of the day. I swear, you could log on my stuff right now.
That's
and
great.
You'll see some stuff from Jan.
Now, yeah, and you said she was how old?
She's got to be like 92 because when
Is she on Instagram?
this is purely Facebook.
Okay, I was just
That's
curious.
still impressive.
No,
because
it's for sure. impressive,
And
I
but-
she
know
bought
people
for me
our
on an
age-
auction on Instagram, friended me on Facebook, and she is like a elderly lady with her cat with lots of crystals.
she was at Woodstock.
She's got stories. She posts her stories all over my stories. So, like, if you see my stuff, you can scroll down and Jan will
I'm looking
hit
for
you
Jan.
with
Jan, I'm
the
coming for you.
Great Depression and
Oh man.
all of
Good
it.
for her.
Oh, that's great.
That's
Can
awesome.
you
That's good
imagine?
stuff.
It's like
Well, that's gonna be
100
us. Though.
years.
But that's gonna be
Yes.
us.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna be the ones that are like 92 on Instagram and like commenting on your grandkids'
Yeah,
things and
100%.
being really obnoxious with it and saying, "Well, this is how it should have been done,"
Yeah.
or hashtag you were wrong. Like we're still using hashtags. Nobody's using hashtags anymore. Of course.
Oh God. I
Um,
explain what a hashtag is almost every day
Oh,
at my job.
it's hashtags still bother me because I hate using them. I don't think
Gotta.
anybody searches hashtags anymore, but I'm completely wrong. It's a
I do
hashtag-
follow hashtags.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hashtags are very still relevant.
Mhm.
I acknowledge that, but I'm like, can we just be done with them already?
It's a good way to like get inside the mind of somebody else. This is so like if you go and see what hashtags other people follow, you'll find out a lot about them. That's all I'm gonna say.
All
I'll
right.
leave that right there.
Pro tip.
Pro tip.
Hashtag pro tip.
Hashtag research.
Hashtag the things you don't want to know.
Oh man. Those are like the hashtags that drive me nuts.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the hashtags that like I'm like, listen. I
That's
understand
not
what you're
doing
saying.
anything for
I-
you.
like the witty one-word caption hashtag is the one that drives me like off the wall.
Yeah, or like the one, like, you know what drives me off the wall? Like the one that has no relevance
right.
to what you're talking about. It's strictly there because it's it's trending topically. So I mean, I get it, right?
Yeah.
But come on, it's not the
I
point.
don't even know what some of them mean.
I
Like
don't know.
for your page. I think you're
TikTok.
supposed to
It's a
put that
TikTok
on
thing.
everything. You
Yeah.
just put it on everything and then you get everywhere for your page.
I think that's. I mean, listen. If people do that on Instagram, then
I don't think people do it on Instagram.
I
it's
mean,
a tick because the TikTok has like
it's
the
100,000%
For
a
You,
TikTok
right?
thing.
So
Yeah.
I have not tapped TikTok in the way that I should, because I know that as a visual artist, if I did, cutesy
I
time
see-
lapses
It's
and things.
tough though.
But I, again, have a day job. I don't have time to create content all the time.
I see a ton of like resin artists on TikTok, and it's pretty cool.
I'm sure.
Like a time lapse resin table, and I know you know the ones with like the beach waves and whatever. It's like a cutting board or
yeah.
it's a tray holder for
Mhm.
wine glasses. But like I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
And even with the soap makers, like, they show their process. I'm funny about showing process. I've
Correct.
always grappled with that because I think that everything should be accessible and everybody has the opportunity to learn. But it is not my job to give you my secrets.
But yeah, you got to decide like at what
you
point
and I are
are
you and I are the same in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah, but you have to decide too, like at what
I
point
love
are
when
you
people
okay?
bear it though.
Like when you're okay to educate somebody, right? Or I'm going to educate you on X, but not Y. And what you really value as a trade. I guess it's like a trade secret, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody can't find it out on their own, then it's really important. If it's out there in the world and you could find it, and it just might not be for me, I think it's less important.
I share the same like sentiment like that. Like I'm very like try to keep everything as private as possible, not like
Mhm.
show anybody anything. Like out of the three of us, I'm
Oh, yeah,
way
you're-
But
you're
I
definitely
have
right.
to live out loud at the same time in order to be Beth Kaya. It's like people have to get a piece of you every single day in some way so you stay top of mind. And that is part of being a content creator. It's part of being a entrepreneur in this day and age. If you don't want to generate content, then you can live in the dark age.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I've come to realize, and this is helping me get through a lot of like giving things away or not being so secretive. What I'm coming to realize is that you can give everybody the same tools,
Mhm.
and you're not going to get the same thing.
No way.
And
Nope.
I'm so spiteful. It's like the worst quality I have. That like now I'm like, I can show you my secret. I can show you this. And you're still not going to do it better than I'm going to do it. Like that's how like
I mean, we literally.
I guess confident or like comfortable I am with like what I'm doing.
So before we did our podcast today, we were out doing a market with the coffee company with Bean Muggin, and we were selling cold brew like crazy today.
Mhm.
Right? Crazy. You would agree? Biggest cold
We had a record day.
record day. Selling.
Hey
Love
Jay,
it.
Jay, when you hear this, we broke the record.
We broke the record, Jay. Ready to drink cold brew. Right
Mhm.
now, we also sell.
No brainer. First place I would go if I went to any market, the coffee
Right?
place.
They do.
Like, we also sell make it home cold brew, where we give you the recipe
Right.
right on the back of the bag, exactly what to do, which coincidentally is exactly how we make our cold brew. He's going to kill me for this later.
Yeah.
Exactly how we make our large batch cold brew. But it's never exactly the same, because if you don't do every step of the way exactly the same every single time, maybe they use different water than we do.
Right.
Whatever it is, it's still never the same.
Well,
Like-
you can buy corn shucked
Right.
and you could buy corn unshucked, and it's $3 difference.
Correct.
Because
We did
it
work.
tastes better when someone did the work for you,
It always does.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I like when you do the work yourself. I like to
No,
just don't. What do you call that stuff? The silk. I don't like that when it gets left on the corn.
the silk.
I
Or-
haven't had corn on the cob lately.
We should do that.
We should have a
Sweet Jersey
barbecue.
corn.
Yeah, I haven't had it
We
lately.
gotta schedule a barbecue.
I love living where I live near Point because that whole strip down to the beach has all those cute little markets, and like you could get your Jersey corn and you can get your Jersey tomatoes and
Yeah, all our good Jersey stuff, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's like the key though is like the tools.
Yeah, the tools and the
You
process.
can
You,
give
know what I
people
mean?
the
Like,
same tools and it's
yeah,
gonna be different.
and because
I'll sell you those tools.
Right.
I've taught classes at the store, and again, like for my sort of workshop that I do at the office, you got to sign up and attend. You got to show me that you care.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it ain't for you.
Put some skin in the game.
So I guess I have like 2 questions left, really. The first one is, what advice would you give to somebody who is gonna, create different things and sell them on the internet, start a website?
Be BethKaya from the fish
Yeah.
shakedown street days.
Well, I mean, it goes with anything. If you're a baker or you're a clay artist or, you have a clothing company, you definitely have to believe in your brand through and through. You got to be ready to like say goodbye to your social life for a little bit. You have to be okay with that. I think, I have a friend who is an incredible makeup artist, and we talk about the brand that he could be developing, but he loves his social life.
Yeah.
And he knows that in order to really go full speed, he's got to give something up. So there is a lot of sacrifice, and you have to be willing to make the sacrifice. If you're not, turn back, because it's not for you. Keep doing what you want to do to enjoy yourself. But don't think you're going to make money doing it.
Yeah. I agree with that. I'm not speaking for everybody, but I know I've made a ton of sacrifice.
Oh yeah.
And to me that's the hardest part. And as I get older and my kids get older, and obviously like the hardest part is the sacrifice.
Oh, it's super tough.
It wasn't that hard at the beginning.
No, because it was just you.
It was still difficult, Erica. Like, but
you were worried about you and you're worried about Erica, and
Yeah.
that was it. And now you're worried about your kids, and not only are you worried about like providing for them, taking care of them, but also being there.
Yeah,
it's hard. Like,
it's hard.
I found a Mother's Day card from my son that the school helped him fill out. Like, I love my mom because of this, and she does this with me, whatever. And one of the lines was, "When my mom is not in the office." He wrote that. "When my mom is not in the office, I love how she reads me stories," or something. And I just thought, oh God, he wrote this in his Mother's Day card, like, when my mom is not working, when my mom is not at the office. And that hit me. And was like, you can't get that back.
It's super hard though. And I think like now, at least like in my house, right? I've worked from home since like pre-COVID pandemic, always worked from home.
Mm-hmm.
My wife started working from home during all that, and even still only goes to her office 2, maybe 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
So our daughter's home, whether it's after school or it's the summer and now she's home, daddy's in his office, mommy's in her office. So to them, like, they don't have like the concept of like, 9 to 5, it's work hours. They don't have the same concept. So I think like for us and in my family, like a big part of it is like explaining why we do what we do and why we have to do this. Like yesterday morning,
and boundaries.
me and my daughter did a 10-minute podcast. Like, she's been obsessed
cute
about coming down here and doing it. And she wanted to start her own bracelet company a couple months ago. So I made her a website, and she was like, let's make a podcast. I was like, cool. Like it gives them an understanding of like, hey, it's Friday night and daddy's got to be out working tonight, or it's Sunday and I can't go to the birthday party with you because I have to do this, but on Monday I'm around. So I think it's just like figuring out the balance that fits in everybody's household.
You're also spending time with you. You're also instilling these values of,
for sure,
like how to start a business, how to create this, and how to, essentially be a person.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a ton of people that are like, oh, I'm like, how'd you get started? Like, oh, well, my parents own a business or something. Mm-hmm. I go, oh man, that'd be great if like my kids saw that and they go, oh, well, my dad had a business, selling coffee on the internet or something. Now I do this, or that's cool that
my
that
mom
can inspire.
had businesses. Her grandfathers had businesses. My dad's mother was one of the founders of Barbizon Modeling.
Oh wow!
International. So she had businesses all over, from Cali to Tokyo, and so this entrepreneurial blood runs thick.
Yeah.
And for anybody starting out, it's
for me, it was my uncle. I worked for him. He had his own business for a while, a catalog company, a fitness catalog company, and I mean I worked there for probably 6 or 7 years on different aspects of it, but like just to see it and like see how it works. And then
when you're working for someone directly like that and you see what they've sacrificed and what they've put into it, you want to work harder for them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Because that what you're doing has a direct impact on their success and your success.
Even now, like my 9 to 5 is a small business with 6 people, and like I know like my input, it directly reflects the output, which is still like a big part of like why, you know, I've been there like 11 years now. So it's like still part of like that small business aspect. And
But like that's like the entrepreneurial mindset a little bit too that you have. It's, you know, it's not your business. You're working for somebody else, but because you have your own business over here, you still take that mindset into work every day.
Every day.
You know, and not everybody has that. But that's why you're there 11 years and other people might not be.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
And I think that's a great asset for any company who, you know, has somebody who does have a business, is that they know the value of what it takes to get it done, and they're going to get it done for you. A lot of people just, you know, they're there, they clock out, they go home, and that's the end of it. And I had a professor, and you'll never know his name, so I'm going to give his name. His name is Maurice Galli, and he was the head designer at Tiffany & Company, and then the head designer at Harry Winston.
Oh.
And I said, Maurice, why don't you design for yourself? Nobody knows your name. And he goes, because at 5 p.m., I clock out and I go home.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, you know, I was like,
there's a lot
But
of
you get
value.
it. You get it now.
I get it now. But, you know, the XO, Tiffany XO, that's Maurice Galli. The Hope Diamond setting,
I'm
Maurice
sure
Galli.
Maurice was very well compensated
Yes,
for all that.
I'm
And
sure he
I think
was
that's part of it
too,
right?
but-
Like if
Well,
you're just
there's stability there.
Knowing who he is was not important.
right.
And I
That's-
think that's interesting,
That's another way to do it.
Yeah.
right?
Listen.
Before I get to the last question real quick, what's funny is like we have an employee,
Mhm.
and this is funny though. We have one employee that helps us with markets, but they have their own business too. So it's funny that you said you should hire people that have small businesses. I go, because the only one employee we have has their own business.
She has her own business, and that's how we met her.
Yeah.
And we're like, wow, she'd be awesome, like to help us out.
I'm
And
sure
so-
she's
yeah.
multitasking,
She's super great.
multi-talented. You have to be.
Yeah.
And
She's great.
not to knock anybody that loves their 9 to 5 and is like, clock out, I'm going to, you know, hang out with my peeps. I wish that I had that in me, but I just don't.
I agree. So before we let go, last question. What is like your favorite Jersey Shore memory?
Ooh. Taking my son to get ice cream on the boardwalk. We did it like every weekend, any possible weeknight during the summer ever. Just his face with that big old vanilla cone with sprinkles and
Yeah.
the smile, you know, I will never forget that. And, you know, the boardwalk is a scene. Every year it's a little different.
Oh, it's a scene.
So getting ice cream and people watching
it's
is
different.
probably it. Also, I used to have a boat, and boat life in New Jersey is great. You know, there's a couple spots where you can roam out and drop anchor and just float. And, you know, that's part of Jersey life. That's everybody should experience
it's all
that.
about what makes the Jersey Shore special, I guess, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The way we put up for the winter just to get for those 3 months of
Oh,
glory,
Yeah.
Yeah.
summer glory.
Jay, you heard that?
Jay's on his boat now. No.
Yeah. So, well, listen, we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you
It's
guys
been
so
great.
much for
I
having
love
me.
the story, and I think it's so impactful that I think people are going to be, you know, really tuned in. Super inspiring.
Wait,
Yeah.
Before we go,
Thank you.
Beth, tell for everybody that's going to be, you know, on YouTube and Spotify checking this out, where they find BethKaya.
BethKaya, anywhere. It's BethKaya
Yeah.
on Facebook, Instagram,
Threads coming soon.
Snapchat, Threads,
Yeah, we're
whatever.
gonna get you on Threads
I
by next
love
week.
that though. Like you're not gonna find anything but me
That's awesome.
with that.
Well,
So,
thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. It's fun.
Yeah. So long.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Coffee Before You Talk to Me. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Bean Mug and Coffee Co. and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Until next time, keep that coffee hot. And please, coffee before you talk to me.